all that year was a learning year for 85. And the good thing about that is that I loved it when the manufacturer didn't change a body, and from 83, 84, 85, the body stayed pretty much the same. So you could work on other things. The body of the car stayed basically the same. So you had time to fine tune. And I always said NASCAR love to do this to you, where there's a rule change for this, and this, because they keep you busy working on these things over here that you can't focus on these things over here. So you kind of lose out because you don't have time to do all of it. And it's not that you lose focus, you just are so busy, and maybe you do have a bit of tunnel vision in some areas, but you get obsessed in one area and overlook another one. But the body stayed the same, and you were able to finesse the cowl openings, the A-pillars, not necessarily as much as the C-pillar, but maybe the deck lid and the spoiler, the things that really arrow that the car responded well to. And you were working on the engine all the time.
Is there any one or two areas specifically where you could point to and said, that right there is what made Melling racing in 1985? What was the secret?
The secret was hard work.
Okay.
Hard work, dedicated people. And teams today, they don't even understand. Some may. I'm not up there all the time to see or be in the shops or understand, but it's like we said just a little while ago, 12, 14-hour days, and you go home and you can't shut it off.
Yeah. From the time you guys started in the sport, mid-'70s, you had been basically able to go about your business without having to deal with a lot of outside attention from fans and from the media and everything. But when you started winning races, it kind of you got a little more attention. Then in '84 you won, I think, 3 races, got a little more attention. But in 1985, that exploded in media. And I don't think any of you were the types to seek out that kind of thing. How difficult was it to deal with the attention that you were receiving?
Best time of my life. Yeah. I compare it to, it was like living a fairy tale.
Okay.
That was one of the things I said, this was like coming home to Mayberry. This town was so small at the time, and it was so laid back here. There weren't very many people here, not a whole lot of traffic. We didn't get a traffic light in this town till probably the turn of the millennium, probably.
Yeah.
And you are inundated at the racetrack, but I think the driver was the one that received most of that, and I don't call it pressure, but it is a form to me of mental abuse where, and Darryl was the worst, playing with your head.
Yeah.
Playing with your head, saying stuff, getting the media started on stuff, because you had certain members of the media he knew he could go to and start something.
Yeah.
And if he could get something started, that's all it took. And if he thought for half a second that would get under your skin, because I can remember him talking about the pressure that the pit crew and everybody had that we weren't going to win the million. I remember all of that.
What was your reaction?
Didn't really have one.
I don't think you finished the thought. You said if he thought that what he was doing
would get under your skin, would bother you for any little minute, he would keep on and keep on and keep on.
Did it bother you?
You and I both know that this stuff, if you allow it to, if you dwell on it, yeah, it will.
Yeah.
All we did was come back and worked on the stuff that we knew that we had to do.
Did it bother Bill? Because he was the focal point.
He was the focal point, and you'll have to ask him that question, because how it affected him, I don't know. There were things that I saw, but I can't answer for him. There were things that I noticed, because he would say the same thing about me. There were same things about me, because I can remember going to Darlington. I remember all of Darlington in '85. I remember the visual of the grandstands, the people that were there, the race day. This is when you know that this goes beyond you, that God's hand is on this. It's when you know that you're not the fastest car that day. We were the fourth fastest car that day.
Yeah.
And I knew that the equipment in the car was as good as I could prepare what I did, and that it was left up to me then to make pit road as best I could make my part of pit road. But there are 4 elements. I've always said there's 4 elements to a race. The car, the driver, the engine, and the crew. There's 4 elements. Any one of those elements that aren't 110% on any given day, and you're not going to be in victory lane.
At what point in the season did the Winston Million become a focus? Or did that become a focus?
After Darlington, after we won the million.
No.
We wanted to win the million, but we wanted to win everything. The only thing that I think the only thing that we lost focus on in '85 was the fact that we could physically burn out. We were the reason that we didn't win the championship, because I feel we burned out.
Yeah.
It's like they said about Tony Stewart. What did they call Tony Stewart for the longest?
Smoke?
Wasn't he the finisher?
It's not what I would have called him.
But
I would have called him something else that I can't repeat.
No.
Yeah.
This is remarkable.
Yeah.
This is where you learn, because the first half of the season wasn't his strong suit.
Yeah.
It was the second half.
Yeah.
He'd wear you out the second half.
Where did that burnout, if that's what you want?
Started showing up before middle of the year.
In what respect? How did it manifest?
Preparation of the car. Preparation of the car.
Wow.
Okay, so you're a small team. You're a small nucleus anyway, and you're trying to keep all this stuff in house. You're trying to keep as much stuff as you can from other teams, from other people. You're doing the best you can. You're trying to do everything yourself. Okay, because you and I both know that there are people within the organizations that are not for your organization.
Yeah.
And there are things that happen that cause either that are causes of this, whether it be jealousy, whether it be a difference in what the small things are usually what I saw that broke a lot of teams up. And internal problems, not as much the external, but internal. And that came back to the structure of the organization, how strong that structure was. But I'll go back to Darlington in '85 and Darrell's deal on the championship, on winning the Million there. The good thing, the thing that I felt the best about was I usually was nervous when the race started. Two reasons. It's like I told Bill in here not long ago. I said, I do the same thing for Chase that I did for you. I said, I pray for him that he does not get hurt. Nothing else matters. Just don't get hurt, because you can come back and race another day. Don't get hurt. And as long as you keep that perspective of what's really the most important focus here. And most people say, well, if he gets hurt, whip his mail. Okay, so yeah, but this is family. This goes beyond that. And once I got in the rhythm of, once I got that first stop behind me, I was good. And you kind of knew what kind of day it was going to be by that first stop.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to be a good day or a bad day. And you could feel it. And you could just about feel it in the air before that. But I told my aunt used to write for the paper down here one time, and we were on the way, we were driving to Darlington. And she was doing a story for the local paper. This was probably sometime in the late 70s, early 80s. And she said, what do you think about when you do your pit stop? What's going through your mind? I said, three things. She said, what's that? I said, do it fast, do it right, and don't get run over. And I found out later on that two of those I got down pretty pat, but the other one, it come back and bit me.
What come back to be?
Getting run over twice.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. That day in Darlington, what was it like to see Bill cross the finish line?
I looked at the grandstands when he crossed the line. I looked at the grandstands, and there were people climbing the fence. And the remarkable thing of that day was nobody left. Usually by the time the race was over, a percentage of the fans had already filed up the steps, and nobody left. Nobody left. And even the teams you competed against were all there and all congratulating you. And I said this before, the support we got from this small town here in Dawsonville, the people that we grew up with, the people, because a lot of people will talk about the town you come from is usually the last place that supports you. If you're a famous person or personality, I've heard several entertainers talk about that, is the town you come from usually doesn't support you. Boy, they didn't know this town. Because if they had, they'd have seen the people that I saw, because the people I grew up with, the people I knew, the people that had businesses here, that was all you heard was, and they'd put it in the paper. There were congratulations in the paper, and you'd go out somewhere, and that makes it all worthwhile.
All right. You mentioned a little while ago that there was a little bit of burnout creeping into the team. Was there a Winston Million burnout that maybe played into not winning the championship?
No, I think not winning the championship was tied to two things, one directly, one indirectly. One directly was probably the lack of ability of our part to get it together for the short tracks. The short tracks killed us.
Yeah.
The speedways weren't a problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it was easy to do any of this.
Right.
But and I'm not saying we had the speedways figured out, but that was where we had done all of our work, all of our focus. Everything was put into the races that we knew paid good money.
They've wheeled the ambulance right back down.
All right, so came time for the short tracks, and I'm not going to say we failed but we failed to plan for the short tracks and how bad that was going to eat into your points.
How disappointing was it to lose out on the championship in '85?
It was almost looking at what the team had put together during the year, looking at all the stats. You scratch your head and wonder how this didn't add up. Yeah.
1986, there's a pretty big fall off in results.
Yeah, because you're trying to recover from '85, which you had no idea what a toll it took until you had a little bit of off time at the end of the year. And I think it would have been completely different had you won the championship, because I think you would have rode that high for the next several months anyway. But you were, I think at that time you may have been too much retrospect about why did you not win the championship in '85, and we heard a lot from Darrell on the reasons why you didn't win it, and it was let's play some more of the head games, and you're learning a lot more about that. But what you learned about yourself in the meantime.
What do you think you learned about yourself?
You can't do everything yourself. You can't, as much as you want to try to, the body can only take so much abuse. And you were on the road, you were doing so much, you were gone so much, you were much like the shows I've seen about the entertainers today, because I watched that program, Battle of the Bands, breaking up of the bands.
Yeah.
That's it. And you see what struggles they went through. And all the personalities trying to work together. I had a friend of mine that called me. His son was in racing, and they were trying to move up the scale a little bit. And he said, I'm thinking about hiring a crew chief. He said, if you were starting a team today, he said, would you hire a driver first or a crew chief first? And I said, probably neither one. He said, well, who would you hire? I said, psychiatrist or a psychologist? Because I said, you've got to understand, I said, chemistry is the name of the game. I said, if these people can't work together, if they're not going to work together, it ain't gonna work anyway. And I said, your crew, I said, whoever works there, I said, and it's more notable lately than ever before, is you have no idea your crew members, how they come into work, what kind of mental attitude they have whenever they come into work. Because if you're not positive about it, there is not going to be a positive outcome to it. And you have no idea when these workers come to work what condition they left home in. Are they having financial problems? Are they having relationship problems? Are they having just other problems that are life problems? Because we face it every day. How do we deal with it? How does it affect our job? I know what I face. Mm-hmm. And I know what a struggle it is days to face different things. And it knows how to come against you at just the right time, how to push those buttons.
And you were involved, not only were you involved in a race team that had its own kind of dynamics, you were involved in a family race mm-hmm. team that had,
okay, follow the family trail through racing. The Pettys, the Allisons, you go through the list of families, And everyone, as life is an individual walk, and you have to, at the end of the day what you got to do. Is the focus for us was you wanted to win races. That was your focus. You learned that shouldn't have been the only focus, but that's your focus. And it'll suffice for a while. But that's why you need your psychiatrist or your psychologist, because this stuff needs to be worked through. It doesn't need to be pushed to the end of the day to deal with on your own or with your family when you go home.
So you can answer or not answer. So was there actually tension within the family?
I don't know any family that hadn't had tension, but it's how you deal with that tension, because what was the goal? The goal was more important.
Okay. Yeah. When you did deal with that tension, do the Elliots have knockdown, drag out fights, or do they just kind of?
I think they go to their own corner.
Awesome.
And,
Okay.
and they develop their own strategy and then come at it in a different way. Everybody has different ways of dealing with it, and it's like growing up as a kid. You watch your children, you watch your grandchildren, and how they develop, and they learn from mom and dad their skills of how they're going to interact with other people. That's amazing how that works. And at what a young age they learn how to manipulate a mom or a dad, or one against the other, to get what they want. It's amazing how that works.
All right. So Bill was a kid brother.
Mm-hmm.
Did he get picked on even then, or
Lord, no.
was he the apple of the parents' eyes? Or?
What was the TV show? I'm the baby, gotta love me.
Yeah.
Okay, so but Mama loved me best. But it's one of those things where all families go through it. All families do, and if you're not one of the families that doesn't have something going on, count yourself blessed.